Hello, my name is Kai, and I am a bit of a rambler. I like to travel, learn, and tell stories. And today is a tale of Sento. Sento are going to get their whole own episode because they deserve it. Sento are the Japanese public baths that you can go to that are all across Japan. And so there's like the ofuro, that's your personal bath at home, and then there's the onsen, like the fancy hot springs that might be artificial or natural, and you just chill in the hot spring. The Sento are my favorite, especially as a traveler. Sento are the public baths. You can get clean easy if you're backpacking through, or if you just want like a deep clean instead of using your house's shower, you can spend all day getting really clean and like deep into your skin, and you'll just feel as clean and sparkly, shiny new as you can after a day at the Sento. So first off, if you see a sign with an ink-drawn fish symbol on it, chances are you are looking at a Sento. So very often that little fish on a sign is all the indication you're going to get, especially in the city, that an otherwise unassuming building is a luxurious spa with all sorts of different hot tubs inside, waiting for you to de-stress and relax in. The public baths are just that, public baths. So they charge like a little bit of money up front, a really little bit. $3 to $7 is very normal, or at least it was when I went a few years ago. And you can find some for 10 to 20, but all the local ones will be under 10 USD. So you pay a little money, you get in there, you bathe yourself first in a separate bathing area so that you're completely clean first, and then you go into the area with all of the different hot tubs and soaks and saunas and all that stuff. So they are a public utility, basically, where they're privately owned, but you pay a little money and then you can wash yourself and de-stress and soak up the culture, literally. And it really feels, when you enter one, it automatically feels like the oldest part of the city. Even if it was made that day, there's a very conscious effort to not make everything look space age and new and whatever. They clean these Sentos constantly, so it never smells weird. I've been in dozens of them, and there's never a strange smell. There's never a weird stain somewhere. Everybody acts appropriately. It's just a public utility for you to clean and relax, basically. And it's truly unique among any country I've been to. I've been to Moroccan baths, and I've been around to a few other public baths, but they all feel dirtier and weirder than the Japanese ones for me. So, and they whip you in the Moroccan ones and really scour you, whereas you can kind of relax at your own pace in the Japanese Sentos. I like them because when you're there, it's very clear that everybody is there for the same thing. Get clean, relax, free their minds. Everyone just chills out and nobody has any stress, and we're all just letting everything go. And they're not all the same. Like, different Sentos have different soaks. So you'll have a green tea soak or purple tea soak. I can't remember. There was a purple one, but I can't remember what they called it now. So you have a whole bunch of stuff, and then there will be like a jacuzzi, or rather a hot tub with jets that shoot out a baking soda water mixture, so that like exfoliates your skin, and your skin is crazy smooth without any, scrubbing or any of that. You're just scrubbed clean by the baking soda, and then your skin is velvety soft. It's crazy. There's some with like electric things, so you put your arm next to these underwater bars, and if you get within a few centimeters, you'll get little pinpricks of electricity kind of zapping you. And it doesn't hurt. It's just like little... It's difficult to call them pinpricks because they really don't hurt. They're just electric shocks, tiny electric shocks that wake your skin and your muscles up. Some of them have larger pool areas, and the artificial onsen hot springs also, like in a couple corners that you can go chill out at if you don't want a specific soak like the tea or baking soda or jet bubbles or whatever. But they're all great. So that I really like them because every single one is different. So I usually didn't go to the same one, especially when I'm backpacking, walking town to town, and the first thing I would do when I entered a town was like, where's the fishy symbol? Because that was about the level of my Japanese. I was studying it and making very little progress. So I would just look around for the fish symbol, and when I saw it, I walked in. And there wasn't a lot of people who spoke fluent English and were like, welcome to our public baths, please. But if you show up in a Sento and you say, Sento, they're like, okay, he's here for the public baths. It's not a difficult tradition to enter into. So let's talk about the process. You find that little fishy symbol, you walk inside. If there is someone standing behind a desk, you're probably in the right place, especially if you say Sento, and then they're like, Sento, then you're all good. So there'll usually be a sign that tells you how much it is, or they will explain it to you. There's enough English that you're going to be able to get by, and even if not, they're so accommodating, Japanese people as a whole, especially the service industry in Japan, that they'll be able to communicate the basic rules. How much is this? Tattoos yes or tattoos no. How long you can stay, which is usually all day, but I do hear that some city ones say, like, you can stay for 6 hours, or you're supposed to stay for 4-hour maximum. I've never had that. And that was about my conversational ability regarding Sentos, saying Sento, Sento ka, and then them saying Sento desu. So you pay the entrance fee first. Sometimes you take a little ticket and give it to the person at the desk, and then they give you a receipt and then you pay. So just do whatever, just pay them. After you pay them, they'll give you your robe for afterwards or not, depending on what the place is like. They'll give you a towel, and then they'll lead you to the locker room. So you take off all your clothes. That's where everybody disrobes, puts their clothes into the locker, along with the towel that they gave you or the robe and slippers, whatever. Like I said, they're all private businesses, so they all do it a little differently, but the process is the same. After all of your stuff is safely in the locker and you have your key, walk out, just follow everybody else. They're all going outside to the washroom first, where you actually bathe. So you kind of give yourself, it's not a sponge bath, a hand bath. There's usually going to be 10 or 20 mirrors with faucets sticking out in a line, and then little stools. So you sit on the stool, there's a bucket, you fill up the bucket with the water, dump that over your head. Now that you're all wet, you use the very nice soap that they provide. I always love the soap, and I have no idea what. Yeah, I'm sure it's just Japan just has great soap. Maybe that's why. But I don't know what kind it is. Anyway, the soap is great. So you lather yourself up, and then you rinse yourself off with the bucket. You can wash yourself as much as you want. Just use all the water, get yourself as clean as you can, but make sure you get yourself clean, because this is the bathing part. You're getting yourself clean so that you can go to the Sento and relax, because nobody wants a bunch of dirty, dirt in the very nice baths. You don't want to steep yourself in green tea and then the next guy that goes in sees a ring around the tub. That's not very relaxing. So you're treating the Sento with respect by bathing yourself as well as you can first. I especially like to rub my arms and legs very well because I got hair all over my forearms and my legs. So I try and make sure I don't just have a bunch of loose hair popping up once I get into the baths themselves. So you have washed, you have shampooed, you've soaked, you're as clean as you would be normally, because you can just use as much water as you want. You get very, very clean. Now that you are clean, it's time to get into those hot tubs and jacuzzis and soaks, baby. Like I said, you might have the electric shock tub, you might have a sauna, you probably have the polar bear plunge where it's like very low temperature water. I've seen one with 4 different types of teas in a row, and it's a very small, like 1 meter diameter, like teacup, giant teacup basically, and you sit inside the giant teacup in whatever style of tea it is. And there'll be little placards that tell you, like, this one's good for your chi, this one is good for your skin, this one is good for your energy. And sometimes there'll be a large, just regular room temperature pool area. Sometimes there'll be, like, the onsen set apart from that, so, like, really hot springs with a little bamboo waterfall coming out, shooting fresh water in constantly. My favorite is probably the baking soda water mixture, because you just sit there and mine had foot jets also. And so your whole body from all angles is just being scrubbed with a wet, well, you're in water, so it's pretty wet, with a water jet of baking soda slurry. And you're just scrubbed completely clean. It's completely painless. It's just very, very soft exfoliant water. Much less than a slur. It's mostly water. You can't like see the baking soda in there or anything. But afterwards, you're like the smoothest skin you've ever had. And by you, I mean me. It was the smoothest skin I have ever felt on my body before, especially on my feet, which I am a backpacker. So I walk for, 2 months at a time, and my feet are an inch of callus covering the entire bottom of my foot. My heels are made of boot rubber material. So it's a very novel and comfortable experience. Just be so smooth and clean. So clean. There's no setup that you have to do, or there's no route that you have to follow. I know that because I really like to adhere to the cultural traditions. So I was kind of worried, like, oh, you have to go in, after you bathe, you have to go in the tea first, and then go in a room temperature, and then go in the hot spring, and then go to... But no, because I watched, and people just go to whatever they feel like going to when they enter. All the Japanese people who were sentoing with me in the public baths. So whichever one sounds good to you, and there are like 50 different kinds of things that I haven't mentioned because they've slipped my mind at the moment, or like I haven't been to that particular Sento. But whatever one looks, you're like, oh, I wonder what it's like to soak in that bowl of medicine, because there will be a medicinal little hot tub. Go do that. Just try it out. And then if you like it, great. If you don't like it, get out, go to the next thing. You're going to like one of them, or probably like a dozen of them. And you can just stay in there for as long and little as you like. And then you just do that all day. That's the whole day. That's what's so great about this. You just soak and relax in hot or cold water. Like, I love going into, let's say, the baking soda one, and then I'll go in the hot spring. I'll get really hot, and I'll go in the polar bear plunge. I'll go straight from the cold water into the sauna. I just love all the extreme differences that are all around. If you want, they have masseuses. You pay an extra $10 or something, and then you can get a massage at some of them, the ones that have that set up. So you get to choose your own adventure and just go around the Sento, and there will be people all around you doing the same thing. Everyone's trying out different stuff. And yeah, your whole goal there is just to relax. So it's wonderful. I'll generally spend a couple hours. Like, I'm usually there for at least an hour because I'll use the sauna, and I like to sit inside here or there for a while. So it's usually at least an hour, but I think 2 hours is about a good max for me. You can stay as long as you want to. There's usually no time limits. And when you're done, I have seen people just leave, but after I get so hot and my skin is breathing and sweating and everything, I like to take another shower after. So I'll take a whole second shower or bathing, a cleansing. I'll undergo a second cleansing after all of my hot tub gallivanting and just make totally clean again, especially if I'm backpacking, because obviously you want to be as clean as possible before you head back out on the road. So I do a second final cleansing, and then I go into my locker, I get my clothes. Sometimes there's a robe, and you can just wear the robe out to the relaxing room. But either way, you get dressed or put on your robe and then go to the relaxing room, which is almost as great as the relaxing hot tubs you just came from. So after your experience in the public baths, there is usually a big, wide, open-spaced, open area relaxing room. My favorite one had all beanbags. So there's like a dozen beanbags in a semicircle in front of a huge wall-to-wall, ceiling-to-floor set of glass walls. And it was on top of a mountain, and I just looked out over the entire countryside as the sun set coming out, and it's magical. Like, you couldn't have a better experience. I certainly didn't. That's probably my favorite Sento experience. And then all around the ring of that area, like outside of where the beanbag chairs would be, there will be an ice cream kiosk and like simple stir fry okonomiyaki, the Japanese omelet kiosk, and like little food things all around, so you can pay $5 and get whatever snack or food you want. And then there will be like little games or arcade machines right around there. It's just another like chill out snack game room, relax after your experience, which is good they have that because you're in hot tubs for like 2 hours or 4 hours if you're just going buck wild. And that's a long time. Like, I have gotten lightheaded, and it's just an experience for my body. So I'll get tired, and in the relaxing thing, I'll be like ready to fall asleep, which you can do. I've seen people sleeping in those chairs. Just don't snore and disturb everyone else's serene, relaxing contentment. So that's it. Your relaxing room is over. If you're wearing the robe, you can go back to your locker and change into your regular clothes. Usually you just change into your clothes before you go out into the relaxing room. But when you're finished relaxing, when you're like, okay, I'm recovered from my intense chill out marathon all day, and I'm totally clean, you just stand up and say thank you and goodbye, and you leave those guys. And then you check your offline maps like I do, and you're like, all right, there's 26 kilometers that way. And you just start walking in that direction because that's going to be the next town you visit. And that's how I spent my initial 3 months in Japan backpacking. I just walked from one Sento to another, and I just looked for that little fish, and I was like, I wonder what's in this one. And it would be, they're all different. It's really interesting. Like, one had a perfectly natural looking recreation of a grotto with a small stream entering it. They all look traditional. There's not too many new architecture, stainless steel things inside. It just looks like a traditional bathhouse. And they all offer different amenities and different hot tubs and all that kind of stuff. So it's new every time, but you know you're going to get the same comforting relaxation period that you got at the last one. And maybe this one will be even better. But at its baseline, the absolute worst Japanese Sento is still ultra clean. There's no weird smells or blemishes anywhere, stains. It's going to have basic hot tubs and 2 weird ones that are still comfortable, like green tea or Moroccan tea or whatever the heck. You're still going to have a great relaxing experience at the worst Japanese Sento. I did. The worst one I went in was... Oh, and the worst ones are also going to be the cheapest ones. Or I'll say the ones who offer the least variety and amenities are the cheapest ones. So even if you're just this one only has 5 hot tubs, plus the polar bear plunge, plus the sauna and the towel and the soap and the worst one, you still get completely clean and it's still completely relaxing. And it only costs you $3. It's great. I was going to try and add a things you should watch out for, but I've never had to watch out for anything in a public baths. If you have tattoos, some Sentos don't want you in there because it's tied to the Yakuza, and it's just basically a tradition now not to allow tattooed people into some public baths. But other public baths have the sign right there, tattoos are okay. So, and you can ask them if you don't know, they'll tell you right away. Other than that, I've never been to a dirty public bath. They're constantly cleaner than any building I've ever been into. So you don't have to worry about that. There's nothing to worry about. It's inexpensive, a great way to clean yourself, a great way to relax. Everyone is kind. The service people are ready to help you with anything you need. Do you need 2 towels instead of 1? Ask them. They'll give you a second towel. There's just no worries. It's all about helping you clean and relax and purify yourself and just chill out. I appreciate the utilitarian aspect of these facilities. Any town or city you are in has a bathhouse within a couple blocks, and you can go to it, clean yourself, relax. Let's say you're a digital nomad and you just had a really tough day. Set a timer for 3 hours, walk for 15 minutes to the bathhouse, completely de-stress for 2 hours, go back to work. even if the rest of the day sucks and you have to work on that thing, you just totally chilled out for 2 hours. Your day was made better by this public utility that you can access at very little cost to yourself as often as you want. That really is a good de-stressing option. I've obliquely mentioned this. I want to mention the comforting anachronism aspect or characteristic of public baths. When I step into a public bath, I don't think, oh, this is a new building trying to emulate what once was. It much more feels to me like this is Japan 1,000 years ago, and the city or town has built up around it. They've replaced some of these pipes, like they don't use lead pipes anymore, but the water itself feels like it's coming from 1,000 years ago. There's nothing that throws you off and you're like, oh, this is too modern. It's not enjoyable as what it once was. It feels like a bathhouse you see in a Japanese painting or something. They all do. So it has a very wonderful traditional atmosphere that I really enjoy. Even the way they treat you. I mean, the Japanese service industry is phenomenal in general, but it just blows my mind how consistently accommodating they can be in what must be a very high-stress environment for these service people to work in. But I've never met a rude Japanese service person. And like I said, I've literally been to dozens of the public baths. I went to one almost every single day while I was traveling, sometimes twice a day, to be honest. I'd go to one in the morning if I came upon a new place and it was like 10 or 11 a.m. I'd be like, oh, why not? This is a new town, new one. I'd go to it. I'd walk for 5 or 6 more hours. I'd be in a new town, and I'd see the little fish, and I'll be like, well, I'm going to try this one also. So I've probably tried like 100 Japanese onsens, Japanese sentos, because I've been to Japan, I don't know, half a dozen times, and they've always been pleasant. They've always been an accommodating, comforting experience. Even one time I lost my key at one, and I was beside myself because I like to be pretty careful with all my things, and I could not understand how I had lost the key because it has an elastic you put on your wrist, and I wasn't swimming around or anything. I was just walking from hot tub to hot tub. But a staff comes in, and 2 or 3 staff came in and helped me look for the keys, and then I found it next to one of the hot tubs I was in, and it was over. And I was naked, because you are all naked in the public baths. The service people were closed, but it didn't feel awkward because they were so professional. They just walk in, they say, what can we do? I was like, I lost my key. And they're like, we'll look for it first. And if we can't look for it, you pay a little fee at the front and it's all good. So let's look for it for a few minutes. If we can't find it, no problem. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then we looked for it. We found the key. It was no problem. And I never felt awkward or embarrassed because my locker held my clothes, and that's what the key was for. So I couldn't change and then tell them first. So I just had to stand there naked and not afraid. New reality show set in Japanese sentos. Because I knew that they were just going to help me, and no one was going to be like, look at the dumb naked American who screwed up. Everyone's just so accommodating and professional and helpful. I like to shower. I like to get clean, and I'm a backpacker, so those two don't really go together unless you're in Japan, because you can walk all day and then clean yourself completely at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day for a few dollars. Like literally $3 to $5 is very common for the smaller bathhouses. Because they service so many people that they don't need to inflate ticket prices, and you can feel that if they tried to price gouge, there would be a riot, because that's just not how Japanese businesses work. Generally, typically, from what I've run into and I've seen, it's just like, you pay $3, you take advantage of these facilities, thank you, we'll see you again maybe, and done. And I've mentioned the price a few times, but I should say they are cheap. It's amazing how cheap these facilities are. They're cheap because they're so ubiquitous, and because after you get it running, it's just water, and you have to make sure the pumps all work. So you don't need a ton of upkeep money compared to, say, a restaurant. But you do need to keep it sparkling clean. There can't be any weird smells. Have to make sure all of the pumps are working. So there is a lot of work that goes into it. But the ticket prices are kept cheap. I don't think I've ever paid more than $10 to visit a public bath in Japan. I'm thinking maybe there was one time I paid $11 or something. But my favorite experience that I mentioned earlier, that was $7. $7, and I spent 4 or 5 hours altogether cleaning myself, visiting every single hot tub. There were like 20-something different hot tubs, plus the sauna, and then cleaning myself again, and then relaxing in the relaxing room. And that was $7 for a basically all-day experience. The affordability cannot be overstated. It's amazing value for your money. Amazing value for your money. Amazing! Okay, this is another ineffable. Maybe I should just call the sex, try and lump them all together. The intangible things that you can't quantify, but it's a characteristic of the experience. That is the arrival at the Sento after walking, especially to the Sento. So if you're backpacking or even if it is like 30 minutes outside the city and you take a car there, the arrival there, it's the regular arrival of every destination. But because it offers so much, so consistently, I certainly have a special appreciation for arriving at a Sento. I'm never like, I hope this one's good. I will walk for 5 hours or backpack, my shoulders are sore and my feet are heavy or whatever. But then I'm there. This anticipation builds up, and once you get there, you know it's going to be good, and it always is a great experience, and a very relaxing experience, and rewarding experience, and unique. It's always unique. Each Sento has their own way of doing things, and their own aesthetic, their own hot soaks, and their own, I don't want to call them activities, but their own offerings. The offerings of each Sento is unique to that public bath. So I love arriving at a public bath much more than I like arriving at, a doner kebab shop, or like, what's another comparable example? When I get to a new hostel or hotel or whatever, I'm always excited to see my new place, but I'm always a little trepidatious about what I'm going to have to fix, how I'm going to have to understand the location, like, does their water filter work, or like, do they have laundry on site, or like all these little considerations. Oh, this chair doesn't quite fit correctly. And there's all these little things that you have to keep awareness open. You have to be mindful of your surroundings, which isn't awful, of course, it's a good thing, but it can be a little fatiguing. Whereas the arrival at a Sento allows me to rest assured that the staff will be taking care of everything the right way. Entering a Sento is the time to abdicate some small sliver of self-preservation and pamper yourself and relax, and the service staff will basically just take your money and then get out of your way, and you can just get clean and lay all your worries at the door. I love that feeling. And you're physically clean after. So you get rid of all your stress, but you're also physically clean after. So it's a double whammy of good feeling. If you go to Japan, go to one of the public baths. If you need a reason to go to Japan, go for the public baths. I visited Sentos down crooked, hundreds-year-old alleys. Others glorified on mountain tops amid cherry blossoms. Sentos are extremely unique, valuable cultural experiences worth participating in. If you have any questions or want to share a Sento story of your own, send me a message at bitofarambler@gmail.com or on all the socials, and I'll get back to you. Enjoy life. Soak it in.